Hey there! In today's video, I will share with you how to make 4 zero-waste deodorants. All of the recipes are super simple to make, and you can choose from a basic one, a second one without baking soda, a third one without coconut oil, and the last one that's a deodorant spray. In the end, you can see a test of how well they work. Now, let's start with the basic one. Add 32 grams of coconut oil and 34 grams of shea butter in a bowl. That's about 2.5 tablespoons of each. In another bowl, add 21 grams of baking soda and 33 grams of arrowroot powder. Melt the coconut oil and the shea butter on a double boiler. It will take a couple of minutes. Once it is melted, take the bowl carefully and add in the dry mixture. Add gradually and mix well. Once you're done, add a few drops of essential oil. You can find the list of essential oils that I recommend. Just go in the description box and check my article. Transfer the deodorant to a jar and put it in the freezer for a couple of hours. After that, the deodorant will get solid, but not too much. It will still be quite creamy and kind of runny. When you apply it, it will feel a bit oily at the beginning. However, after a couple of minutes, the skin will absorb most of it. The second recipe is without baking soda, making it ideal for sensitive skin. You will need 54 grams of coconut oil and 53 grams of shea butter. In another bowl, add 96 grams of arrowroot powder. Add about 1 tablespoon of bentonite clay. I made the mistake of using a metal spoon, but please avoid doing that, since the clay absorbs the metals and becomes less effective. I completely forgot about it. Whoops! The next step is to melt the coconut oil and shea butter. Once you do that, you can add the dry ingredients and mix well. At least here, I remember that I have to use a wooden spoon because of the clay. After you mix everything well, you can add your preferred essential oil. In this case, I added a few drops of orange essential oil. By the way, make sure the mixture is cold, as if the deodorant is still hot, the smell of the essential oil will evaporate. Transfer the deodorant to a small jar and then place in the freezer for a few hours. This deodorant is more solid than the first one, as you can see. It doesn't leave almost any oily sensation and it is absorbed by the skin quite fast. The third recipe is without coconut oil and it has just 3 ingredients. Add 53 grams of shea butter in a bowl and 45 grams of arrowroot powder in another one. You can add 1 tablespoon of baking soda if your skin isn't super sensitive, otherwise you can skip it. Like the previous 2 recipes, you have to melt the shea butter and then add to it the dry ingredients. Once it cools down and it is well combined, you can add your desired essential oil. For this one, I use lavender. Mix once again and then transfer to a jar and place in the freezer for a few hours. This one is the most solid and doesn't leave an oily sensation at all. The deodorant feels very nice when you apply it and dries quite fast on the skin. The final recipe is for DIY deodorant spray. you will need 3 ingredients, a spray bottle, and you can make it in just a couple of minutes. Take your spray bottle and add 30 milliliters of vodka. Just make sure it is 50% alcohol. After that, add 15 milliliters of apple cider vinegar and then 10-15 drops of essential oil. Shake it and then the deodorant spray is done. If you're worried about smelling like vinegar, don't worry. The smell evaporates in a couple of minutes once it dries out. As for the alcohol, you can use either vodka or gin. As I wanted to test them out, I decided to use the deodorants for a couple of days. The first day, I tried the first 2 deodorants on each armpit. I started with the basic one. It felt perfect on the skin, but there was a bit of an oily sensation, especially at the beginning. After about 10 minutes, it was still a tiny bit oily, but it felt way less, and it wasn't bothering me. The second deodorant was more solid and it also felt great on the skin. There was almost no greasy feeling and it absorbed into the skin quite fast. I like this one a lot and I had high hopes for it. In the evening I did a smell test and I also wanted to see if there were any stains. Deodorant number 1 left a small stain on my shirt while deodorant 2 didn't. That day I was outside most of the time and I even did a bit of hiking, so I was sweaty. The smell was very neutral and I was very satisfied with both of them. The next day I tried the other 2 deodorants on each armpit. Deodorant 3, which was without coconut oil, was a bit harder to apply, but it wasn't a deal breaker at all. It was the most solid one and I liked how fast my skin absorbed it. There wasn't any oily sensation, which I liked a lot. On the other armpit I added the last deodorant. I sprayed a few times and I let it dry. At first, I could smell a bit of the vinegar, but once it evaporated, the smell was 99% gone. I applied both of the deodorants in the evening before going to bed, and I reapplied them the next morning. Later in the evening, I did another smell test. Since the shirt I was wearing was quite baggy, I couldn't do a stain test. Deodorant number 3 was another win. There was no bad odor whatsoever. I liked how this one worked, as it was drying out the fastest and it didn't feel greasy at all. The deodorant spray was the one I was the least satisfied with. I couldn't smell a bad sweaty odor, but there was a bit of an odd vinegary smell. It wasn't strong at all, but I felt it. It might be because I reapplied the spray a few more times during the day. Overall, I was very satisfied with the first 3 deodorants, and the spray needs a bit of adjustment, but it can work well too. I just need to find a way to eliminate the vinegar smell completely. I recommend the first if you don't mind a bit of an oily feeling, and the second and the third one if your skin is sensitive and you don't want any greasy feeling. Feel free to add a comment below if you have any questions. Also, if you liked the video or I missed something, please let me know. Take care and until next time.